Hello, Dancing with the Stars fans. I'm Daniel Montgomery with Gold Derby here with Joyce Eng, Cordell Martin, and Jeffrey Kare to talk about Dancing with the Stars Trios Night. This is week 4 of the competition that, as we're recording this, aired 2 nights ago. It had a surprise ending with the elimination of Tinashe in 10th place. And to put that into perspective, every single week in the competition, including this one, she had finished either first or second on the judges' leaderboard without fail. And despite being ranked that high, having finished second last week, she was still eliminated, which, I mean, that sort of stuff happens, but I don't know if it's ever happened this drastically, where someone who scored that well and ranked that high went in 10th place. Even Heather Morris lasted until 8th. So what did you think about that, Cordell?
I would say it was disappointing, but I mean, Tinashe was just one of those contestants that was the makings of a surprise elimination. Just because being paired with Brandon, who was a new pro, so he didn't have that built-in fan base like a lot of the pros do. Also, just her ability to connect with the general audience and viewers that watch Dance with the Stars. You know, the thing is, especially with Most Memorable Week, is that you really have to dig deep and show your vulnerable side. And, you know, with her performance, while it was great, there was no emotional connection that left the viewers wanting, you know, to root for her or get to know her more like the other contestants. So I think that did her in terms of just that voter support, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, she really should have picked a year other than My First Single dropped, in hindsight.
She needed a sad story. She needed to make people cry.
And if she didn't have one, she should have had someone break her leg in like the prior week and say, "This is my most memorable year because I'm on Dancing with the Stars with a broken leg." What did you think about that elimination, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah, I mean, you mentioned twist. I mean, not only that, but, well, she and Ivana were both in the bottom 2 in Jeopardy. And, you know, when Tinashe was eliminated, it literally felt something like completely out of an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I'll say that, you know.
He was dead all along.
yeah, there you go. And, yeah, but... yeah, I guess it seems that despite all the great work Tinashe's been doing, I guess has done on the show, I guess it seems, at least this past week, America was like, well, she's safe, but I'm going to throw my vote for someone else just to give them my support. So they just assumed she was so safe, but in reality, she was not as safe as they thought.
Yeah, after that elimination, I don't vote that often just because I'm just sort of like a backseat driver when it comes to Dancing with the Stars. But this time I was just like, okay, I threw 5 votes to Alexis. I threw 3 to Ivana because she was in the bottom, or she was in Jeopardy, which makes me think they're trying to scare us. She might be in true danger next week. And I gave 2 to Mary Lou because I feel like they are so at risk, even though they have higher scores. The bottom 4 dancers on the leaderboard on Monday night were all men, and they could all be safe.
Yeah.
What did you think about Tinashe going home, Joyce?
Not surprising that she was the shocking elimination of the season. Surprising it was so early because Joe made up an 11-point deficit, which is insane. And I think what's like saddest about it is that she was like basically getting no votes because she was put in Jeopardy last week. And they do that to encourage people like, hey, vote for her. And since it's down to once a week now, last week's votes were combined with this week's scores. So nobody voted for her last week after she was at Jeopardy. So she just, I think she was missing, like, her core fan base is not the core dancing fan base. And I think the core dancing fan base, like we've seen it time and time again, it's just they favor like mediocre guys because it's mostly older women watching, and it's just like it could be like any charming guy like who just seems nice or just like putting in a little effort, like they will vote for them. And it's so much harder for young, attractive women who are talented to go deep into the competition. Like we've had some ringers win, namely with Derek, who has his own fan base, but it was I think it was just like too many factors working against her.
Yeah, it is a little odd that the men do, are doing so well this season. Because, once that first week happened and we had the bottom 5 were all women, I was like thinking this show is sexist, and I went back into the history of the show, just like a cursory glance at the Wikipedia page of first, second, and third. It's almost 50-50. It's exactly 50-50, the split between male winners and female winners, and it's almost 50-50, when you count all finalists between men and women. So it's not like women have been so gravely disadvantaged over the course of the show, but this season it just feels like what. Why?
I think it's like, I think another huge factor is just the pros. Like the female pros are just so much better than the male pros.
Mm-hmm.
And like Val is the veteran. Like he's the only male pro who's won, whereas with the women, Sharna is the only female pro who hasn't won.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think like they're like the male pros are stepping it up. Like we used to have great male pros like Derek and Mark and Max and Tony. And like the new guard of the female pros have stepped it up and they've won, obviously. But it's like there's potential with some of the male pros, but like.
But they never make it far enough.
They never make it far, and they're not cultivating their own fan base. I think Brandon shows a lot of promise. Like he showed a lot of creativity with his routines. So he has potential if they keep him around. But yeah, like we've had like Keo, yeah, like he's never stuck around long enough. But I think Alan has potential too, but he's still, pretty young on the show. But like Artem and Gleb, like they've been on for a few seasons already, and like they've never really impressed me that much with their stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it is who they get paired with. I think like Keo's just in his past seasons, he rises or falls with who they give him, because he has been eliminated first like 3 times on the show, and now once on Dancing with the Stars Juniors he was eliminated first.
Does that count?
I mean, it doesn't technically since he wasn't dancing, but he was on the team.
He was the mentor, right?
He was their mentor, yeah. He was with them, so it's like it still sort of counts. So if there's someone like, I mean, they gave Brandon Tinashe, like maybe she didn't have her own built-in fan base, but she was a total ringer. So they were as kind to him as they could have possibly been, and he still went home. But I think with Artem and with Artem and Keo especially, they just haven't really usually given them a really competitive person. Like maybe once or twice. Like Artem could have gotten there with Nancy Kerrigan, and Keo did well with Jodie Sweetin, got into the top 6. It looks like Keo might do well with Ivana, hopefully. Like,
Ivana will probably be the last woman standing.
I can see that because she and Tinashe were the only 2 women in week 1 who weren't in the bottom 5. So she must have gotten some votes. Now Tinashe is gone, and Ivana is still there. So it feels like she's getting some votes. And how many votes is the question? This week she got kind of a middle of the pack score, so she's kind of in danger potentially. But let's talk about who's at the top of the pack, or at least from this week. Milo Manheim, who was really spurred on by Juan Pablo's really premature perfect score, and so like I want to get 10s, and he got 10s, not all 10s, but mostly 10s. What did you think about his performance, Cordell?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. What I love about Milo is just his energy, his spirit. Like he really wants to be there. He's just enjoying the moment. And, that's just engaging for the viewers to really latch on to. So honestly, I'm going to put him as my prediction to win. I think this is his competition to lose. I thought DeMarcus was the front runner, but week after week, he's just been kind of losing, that edge in terms of just like the performance aspect and so on and so forth. And then Juan Pablo, although he's a great dancer, there's just something about him that's not clicking for me. I don't know. I just him and Cheryl just isn't
They're
there.
trying so hard to make him happen.
Yeah. He runs so hot and cold. It's weird because he was so good in that samba. I wouldn't have given him all 10s for that samba, but it was so good. But then his cha-cha, it reminded me of week 1 where they gave him, I think, a salsa. And it's like, this should be right in your wheelhouse.
They're totally giving him dances they think he'll be good at.
Yeah, but he's whiffing it. It's like and it's not even that he's badly dancing it. It's that the dances themselves there's just not much there in the choreography. Like Cheryl, come on, he can do a cha-cha. Give him a proper cha-cha.
It's weird because she actually choreographed a good samba for him. So maybe she just maxed out last week.
Well, she's been on the show for 87 seasons, so she might have run out of choreography ideas. Although maybe
I can't think of any new choreography for a cha-cha this week.
For a bit, just try that. Just shake the hips there, and we'll call that a cha-cha. What did you think about Milo this week, Jeffrey?
Oh, well, yeah, I thought he, hands down, this week gave the best performance of the night. I mean, of course, him not only having the help with Whitney, but also, of course, Riker Lynch. I mean, again, the whole team was brilliant, and I agree with Cordell that, I think he's the one I'm predicting to win right now. And, of course, he was so close to getting his first perfect score, but Len had to go 1 point below the others, of course. But, hey, still great performance.
I think it's good that he didn't get a perfect score because it's still room for improvement, so to speak, because I feel like they did Juan Pablo a disservice by giving that 30 last week. So now it's Milo is still chasing it and everyone knows he's good and deserves one. So it's just kind of when you're going to give it to him. And he's just going to keep stepping it up every week now.
Yeah, I can see them doing. I can see them doing to Milo. Kind of one of those. We know you're at a different league, so we're gonna say, "Oh, your shoulder was a centimeter too high." You give him a 9 or something like that, just so that they can just polish him up just a little bit to prime him to get those 10s at a more appropriate moment, maybe in a week or two, instead of in week 3. I agree. Juan Pablo's perfect 30, going from that to a 24 this week.
Yeah, that's a huge drop.
That's a huge drop from week to week. And I think it's warranted from this week's dance, but it looks so much worse because
it's just because he shouldn't have gotten a 30 last week. That's, if you got a 27, that's fine. Yeah.
It's Ivana got a 24 this week also, but it doesn't feel as she's falling as much because they didn't overdo it with her last week. So I'm hoping Ivana's scores are enough to keep her alive. Who do you think is at risk of elimination after this week's scores and this week's results? Joyce.
Probably one of the women.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest twist this week was that it was not Alexis or Mary Lou who left because they were the other remaining women in the bottom 5 from the first week. So I could see Alexis or Mary Lou in jeopardy next week. I looked back, and the only other time there have been 4 straight weeks of the same gender being eliminated was season 23. It was 4 straight guys in the beginning. But there's never been 5 straight eliminations of the same gender. So we could break a record next week if Joe doesn't go.
Hashtag feminism.
Yeah.
Dancing with the Stars so male.
We could totally have a top 6 of just guys.
Oh God. And one of them will be Grocery Store Joe. Who do you think is going to be eliminated, Cordell?
Well, I hope it's Grocery Store Joe, but we know that's not happening. But I think it's probably going to be either Alexis or maybe John Schneider. I can see him too.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
You're Alexa again.
No, turn her off.
While he's attending to Alexa, Jeffrey, who do you think is going home?
Well, as much as I would love for it to be Grocery Store Joe, I could just see it being Alexis or maybe Mary Lou, depending on how much backlash there's against the women, except for Ivana. But of course, she has the Harry Potter fan base to back her up. But then again, I could just see John being at risk of elimination too.
Yeah, I'm actually predicting John to be eliminated. I feel like he stuck around this week, and I feel like it was because most memorable year night he had my house got flooded and my mom died,
The double whammy.
Double whammy. Next to Alexis, he had the most emotional backstory, and it was really emotional for him. This week he doesn't really have that, and he had kind of mediocre scores. So he's 6 points above Joe, but we know that doesn't matter because he can make up 11 with 0 votes. So since he's lower on the leaderboard, we know he doesn't have the hugest fan base because in week 1 he was in the bottom 6, even if he was 6th from the bottom and not at the very bottom. So I think it's going to be John, because Mary Lou and Alexis also have a bit more of a buffer in the scores than John does. So I think that wouldn't keep Mary Lou and Alexis safe from Joe, but I think they might be able to stay ahead of John. But yeah, I'm also worried I think Mary Lou Retton had the second highest score of the night, well deserved. So I think she'll be okay this week. I think we'll more likely see Alexis or Ivana go if there's another woman's elimination. So we'll see what happens there. And Cordell, you mentioned after this week's performance that you're now predicting Milo to win the show. I changed my prediction to that as well. What about you, Jeffrey?
Well, yeah. If in case you haven't already told by my previous points about Milo, yeah, I do have him winning right now. He really seems to. I mean, again, to Joyce's points about how it probably is a good thing he didn't get a perfect score because then it probably would be a disservice to him next week, like it was for Juan Pablo this week.
And how about you, Joyce?
Yeah, I switched to Milo last week after that backflip jive. Like he's just been rock solid every week, and he could do anything. And Whitney is really putting in the content in his dances, and it's just like he's like for his height, he's really good. But it's just he can like do anything. Like this week's dance was so fast. It was just, yeah, I don't know. Like he hasn't slipped up, whereas everyone else has, not made like a major mistake, but just not been as consistent as he has been. And I feel like if it comes down to like him and like DeMarcus, like he can make up whatever like football fan base there is for DeMarcus, like over the next couple weeks and beat him that way because he's already like pulling ahead of him points wise. So.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm predicting Milo too. Honestly, after that backflip, that was a moment where I thought we were all looking at Tinashe as the ringer, and I'm like thinking there was a secret ringer in Milo all along. I didn't realize it. Because like people don't just try out backflips. Oh, I wonder if I could do a backflip. No, like he had that.
And he also pulled his hamstring like 2 days before that show.
Yeah. And what's more impressive about this week is that especially with the younger, shall we say, vanilla contestants, they don't necessarily always have the hip action, and he nailed the Latin hip action on that salsa so perfectly. So yeah, it's like Joyce said, he really doesn't have a weakness in terms of a style at this point. He's got the height, he's got the stamina, he can keep up with all the dances, he's got the versatility, he's got the personality that we've seen so far. He'd be the youngest male winner by 6 years, and we only just broke that record a year ago with Jordan Fisher, who was 23. So it would be unusual for a 17-year-old boy to win Dancing with the Stars, but especially with Tinashe gone, I look at that list and I go like, well, who could? Like Juan Pablo could come back, but right now I think it's those two, and I don't know who else.
Juan Pablo feels like a third place finish.
Yeah.
Like they'll keep like giving him like good scores and good comments, and he'll be fine, but like he's not gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wonder if then Bobby Bones might end up being this year's David Ross, because I don't think Joe will get to the finals. As pessimistic.
What do you guys think? Like they need to do to ensure Joe goes home? Like, do they need to bust out like the one paddles?
It actually might work if they give him a slightly higher score so that he's like one up from the bottom.
He's not last.
Yeah, because every week his fans count on the fact that he's last. And so they vote and keep him in the competition. I don't know what the precedent is for someone being last every single time they've hit the dance floor and still surviving after like
because most of them are eliminated by this point.
Yeah. Like, I don't know who's survived this long with those low scores every week.
Well, Master P got an 8 in week 4, but he was eliminated.
Oh,
good comparison.
So this is uncharted territory.
So yeah, I don't know what his ceiling is. I feel like he makes the top 6 at this point, barring like unless he does something like really sour, like cusses people out, or they you know what they should do? They should give him a bad edit. If they give him a conflict edit where he's like, "Oh, I don't want to listen to you," you know, to his partner, and he's like, you know, flipping off the camera.
I think he's like too boring to like for that to even happen.
He was on The Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise.
But
he should have learned some things.
One episode, and I think like he just broke up with Kendall in Paradise, and now they're back together. I don't know. But wait, okay. So I think there's 9 people left this week, right?
9 left, yeah.
Okay, so is next week going to be Team Dance?
No, I think it's Disney night.
Yeah, this coming week is Disney.
This coming is Disney, but like the following week, it will be 8. So will they do Team Dance?
Ooh.
It was probably going to be Team Dances.
So if Joe is still around, whose team will he be on?
You know, it might be a good idea to, like, unless his fans are just like, they'll vote for him anyway, in which case giving him a higher score is even more dangerous. But I feel like they should put him on a really good team so that he gets just carried along with their scores. And so he ends up a little higher on the leaderboard. His fans are like, oh, he's fine. He's made it this far. And then he goes home.
Yeah.
He'll definitely be picked last.
Oh.
Just like gym class. Well, what are you looking forward to on Disney night, Cordell?
Well, looking at the dance styles for next week, it looks like my boy Grocery Store Joe is dancing a jive. I'm all here for that. So.
Are there going to be overalls involved? Because I don't think they can handle that wardrobe. Because they couldn't figure it out this week.
Oh,
well, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't him who could not break away his shirt.
Yes, the other guy couldn't break away his shirt, and then Joe's like one of the straps came loose, and there was one point in the dance where he's supposed to be holding them like this, and one of his hands is holding nothing. And
that's just his memory. He just forgot.
Yeah. And I was sort of like watching that dance, like that flap coming loose. I'm like, I hope he's wearing underwear. I hope he's wearing, because I wasn't sure, like you know, I mean, you kind of count on that strap holding on overalls. I don't know what would. Well, he might have gotten extra votes if there's been a more drastic malfunction.
I love that, like, Jenna was like, Val, Gleb, like, guys, just come in here to like distract everyone, because this is not good.
Do me a favor. Like,
yeah.
she pulled a fiance card on that one.
Yeah.
Where she's like, could you please just
yeah.
And next week she's just gonna be like, you know what, I'm tired this week. Can you dance with him this week? Although then he'll get Val's fan base, and it'll be even worse. He'll stick around even longer. What are you looking forward to on Disney night, Jeffrey?
Well, I guess I'm very interested in seeing what Disney songs each of the contestants perform to. Like, I mean, knowing Milo, it wouldn't surprise me if he performs from that TV movie he was on, Zombies. But yeah, everyone else, I am curious to see what Disney songs they'll be performing to.
How about you, Joyce?
I just want to see what Joe will do with the jive. Because you know the kicks and flicks are not going to be there.
No. I mean, he might kick something, but I think he might want to be away from the room.
Because has he, like, this is going to be, no, he had the quick step, but that was in hold.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So this is going to be his fastest dance out of hold.
Yeah, hot mess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, I mean, I think everyone else will be fine. So it's, you know, like that's the thing. Like he's like the only. I don't think we've ever seen anyone so bad last this long while like everyone else is pulling away from him. It's like I'm not like concerned about anyone else because they're all like pretty decent dancers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even someone like Bobby Bones, who is kind of a mess at times. It's like he at least gets his steps.
And he's trying. Like he's actually, I think he's more akin, yeah, like you said, to like David Ross. Like they're these people who are not great dancers, but like they have some rhythm and they're trying. Like they're like the actual underdogs, like not someone like Joe.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, with that, we're all looking forward to Grocery Store Joe. Under a certain definition of looking forward to.
Sarcastically.
So with that, thank you all for joining me. And thank you everyone out there for watching or listening to us. We will see you next week.